does a Regis divorce, a Regis bankruptcy, and a Regis personal injury claim have in common? Regis lawyers. Lawyers who care. Convenient, affordable, respectful, and experienced. We work 100% for the 99%. Over 20 years, we've helped thousands throughout the Hudson Valley, New York City, and Long Island. For a free consultation with an experienced attorney, call or text us at 212-766-1100. Y sí, hablamos español.
Welcome to Millennium TV 24, and I want to thank you for taking a good look in news with me, Kim Seabrook. If you didn't miss me, I certainly missed you. So let's start off what I always like to start off with, what's going on in New York City. And as we do know, it's already August, almost time to go back to school. And in some states, they already started school. But in New York, we just want to give you some information on the 10 must-have supplies for back to school for 2021 to 2022 school year. Unfortunately, the top on the list is masks, because many schools will still require masks for students, teachers, and staff this year. You can buy cloth face coverings anywhere. You can search Amazon, Etsy, Staples, Targets to find a variety of face coverings. And one thing you can most certainly do is support your local businesses and your people who are actually sewing them by hand, and purchase one from your neighbor. So also, number 2, sanitizing wipes, of course, spray and hand sanitizer. Now more than ever, it's a good idea to have some germ killers handy, especially if you can't wash your hands. 3, the weekly fridge calendar. What it is, don't miss out on any after-school programs, and it comes with a sports and weekly calendar. 4 is a planner. There's this clever Fox planner. It's a must-have on the school supply list to keep students track of all of their responsibilities. The Colorful Data Elementary Student Planner for academic year 2021 and 2022 was made with the young students in mind. Of course, number 5, pens and papers. Number 6, a backpack. And let's see what's going on new in backpacks. Having compartments is cool, but the game changer this year is the USB port. Everybody wants to make sure their phones are charged, or they could listen to their music, etc. Next is 7, computers. Oh my goodness, computers. We didn't have to bring computers to school. I am so glad I'm not in school. But now more than ever, students will need reliable computers to do schoolwork or attend virtual classes if necessary. And of course, please have a water bottle. We got to make sure we keep the kids hydrated. 9 is a bento box. In Japanese culture, bento boxes are lunches that are carefully put together to create a complete meal. But the compartments make them practical for anyone, especially kids. Number 10, apparel and uniforms portioned. Kids seem to grow faster during the summer. Yes, they do. So they need new clothes and school uniforms for the beginning of the year. And if you don't want to leave the house, you know what you could do? Order online. Amazon has a Prime wardrobe that lets you try the clothing before actually buying. So that's just some information for back to school year. Next in New York, we have transit advocates challenge de Blasio to honor bus improvement promises. Every weekday, Desiree Walker says that she has to carve out 40 to 50 minutes to wait for the South Bronx bound bus 4A. Walker, a lifelong resident of the borough, said that relying on Bronx buses is an everyday nightmare. With experiences like Walker's commonplace, transit advocates are now calling on outgoing Mayor Bill de Blasio, a Democrat, to uphold his promise to install 28 miles of new and improved busways and bus lanes in 2021, and improve a transit infrastructure in the Bronx that has led to infamously long wait times and congested roads. The mayor promised 28 miles of new and improved busways this year, and so we're trying to hold him accountable to that promise by putting his toes to the fire, said Josie Race. She's a senior organizer for transit advocacy group Riders Alliance. I'm not sure if any of the Bronx bus projects have been implemented yet, and he promises 20 miles last year and only 13 were completed. So he has a history of not following through on his promises. Officials from transit groups such as Riders Alliance, who took part in an August 4th rally in Fordham, say that solutions such as car-free busways and lanes conversions will alleviate high congested areas such as Fordham Road, Gun Hill Road, Story Avenue, and University Avenue. New York's northernmost borough has a 57 bus transit network that serves more than 79,000 people who commute between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m., which was the highest in the city, according to pre-pandemic census data. The Bronx is also home to two of the busiest bus routes in the city, which is the Bus 12 and 19 route, which had a total ridership of 7.9 million and 5.4 million in 2020, respectively. That is a lot. The Bronx and Staten Island are the only boroughs in the city that do not have car-free busways. A de Blasio administration effort that constructed 20 miles of bus lanes and car-free busways in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens in 2020, which reportedly improved travel times for busy bus routes such as the M14 route by 47%. Advocates say that if car-free busways were implemented at Fordham Road, one of the busiest Bronx roadways, it would go a long way in reducing traffic accidents and improving the borough's environmental health. That would definitely improve a lot of things. But next, let's go on to Cuomo's future. He hangs on the Democrats' resolve. Let's see what's going on with Cuomo. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's political future is looking quite bleak, as calls for his resignation continue to increase in the wake of a damning report alleging that he engaged in several instances of sexual harassment. What's notable about this torrid affair is that neither prominent New York Democrat officials nor the activist media have bothered to protect them, as if their typical modus operandi. It seems clear at this point that the embattled governor has no intention of stepping down, even though calls for his resignation come from individuals as high up as President Joe Biden. If Cuomo is going to leave his position, he will have to be dragged out and kicking and screaming. But do New York Democrats have the political will to make this happen? As it turns out, most of New York's lawmakers are on board with the idea of initiating impeachment proceedings against the governor if he refuses to leave willingly. It appears these individuals do not believe Cuomo's claims that he never made unwanted sexual advances. Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie released a statement on Tuesday indicating that the legislature is looking into this matter. We will now undertake an in-depth examination of this report and its corresponding exhibits. We will have more to say in the very near future, he stated. Attorney General Letitia James, she reported, revealed that Cuomo had engaged in activities violating civil sexual harassment laws, which means local prosecutors could bring cases against him. On Tuesday, shortly after James' report was released, Democrats in the state assembly reportedly debated virtually for hours about whether to impeach the governor now or wait to see whether he resigns, or give the Judiciary Committee time to wrap up its wide-ranging investigation into issues related to the nursing home scandal. If the Assembly agrees to initiate the impeachment process, a trial will be held. The court would include members of the state Senate, with the exception of Majority Leader Andrea Stewart, Cousins, and the 7 judges serving on the Court of Appeals. The proceedings would involve 69 individuals in total. A 2/3 majority would be required to oust Cuomo. It is still not easy at this point to determine whether New York Democrats would be willing to launch an impeachment effort against the governor. While they seem to be talking a good game, politics could easily motivate them to reconsider. Moreover, even if they did initiate the proceedings, there is no guarantee that they will vote to remove him from the office. I guess we just got to see what he's going to do. But next, Shake Shack will raise prices again in 2021 to fight inflation. Shake Shack is preparing to hike prices this year more than it usually does in an effort to fend off inflation and protect its bottom line. The New York-based burger chain's chief financial officer, Catherine Fogarty, said on a conference call with analysts last week to discuss the company's second quarter earnings report that customers can expect to pay as much as 3% to 3.5% more for their food. A price hike is planned for the fourth quarter of the year, and Fogarty said that they will touch across a combination of various price tiers and digital pricing initiatives. The pan price hikes are higher than the approximately 2% menu price increase that we have historically taken at the end of most calendar years, and will be evaluating the need for further price increases that might go into effect in 2022, depending on how the cost landscape evolves through the rest of the year. Shake Shack has already raised prices 3 times in the past year, and that's according to Eat This, Not That. In December, it hiked prices by 2%. And in February, the company raised delivery prices through third-party delivery services by 5%, and then another 10% in the spring. Wow. Fogarty added on that call that we expect wage inflation in the second half of 2021 to be in a high single-digit range. Several analysts on the call questioned why Shake Shack isn't raising prices higher to improve the company's profit margins even more. Shake Shack CEO Randy Garutti said that the company didn't want to go too far too fast. We take our time and we do the right thing, and we do not know yet whether inflationary pressures will be transitory or how long they will last. And there's just no reason to take too much time when there's a lot of uncertainty in this world, he says. Next, AMC says it will let people buy movie tickets with Bitcoin this year. Movie theater chain and so-called meme stock AMC announced Monday that it's working to let customers use Bitcoin this year to buy tickets and concessions when purchased online. CEO Adam Aron made the announcement on a conference call Monday evening with analysts to discuss the company's second quarter earnings report. Aron said that the movie theater chain will have the technology systems in place to accept the cryptocurrency as payment by the end of the year, as well as payment options such as Apple Pay and Google Pay. AMC is hereby formally announcing on this call that by year end, we will have the information technology systems in place to accept Bitcoin as payment for the movie tickets and concessions if purchased online at all of our U.S. theaters, he said. We also are in the preliminary stage of how exploring else AMC can participate in this new burgeoning cryptocurrency universe, and we're quite intrigued by potentially lucrative businesses opportunities for AMC if we intelligently pursue further serious involvement with cryptocurrency, he added. These new payment methodologies for us should also be implemented by the year end. That's going to be interesting. And next, what do we have? Netflix. They must face ex-prosecutors' defamation lawsuit. This is interesting. This is over the Central Park 5 series. So a federal judge on Monday said that Netflix Inc. must face a defamation lawsuit by former Manhattan prosecutor Linda Fairstein over her portrayal as a racist and unethical villain in When They See Us, a 2019 series about the Central Park 5 case. U.S. District Judge Kevin Castell in Manhattan. You know what? Let me do this. I really want to get this story, and I know it's time for me to go to break, so I'm going to read this when I come back. We'll be right back on Millennium TV 24. You're watching the Good Look in News. Thank you.
What does a Regis divorce, a Regis bankruptcy, and a Regis personal injury claim have in common? Regis lawyers. Lawyers who care. Convenient, affordable, respectful, and experienced. We work 100% for the 99%. Over 20 years, we've helped thousands throughout the Hudson Valley, New York City, and Long Island. For a free consultation with an experienced attorney, call or text us at 212-766-1100. Y sí, hablamos español.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Thank you for tuning in and staying on tune with us with Good Look at News on Millennium TV 24. As I was stating before, I really wanted to touch on this topic, on this story, and I want to read it from the beginning. So here we go. A federal judge on Monday said Netflix Inc. must face a defamation lawsuit by former Manhattan prosecutor Linda Fairstein over her portrayal as a racist and unethical villain in When They See Us. That was a 2019 series about the Central Park 5 case. I'm sure a lot of us remember that. And the U.S. District Judge Kevin Castell in Manhattan said Fairstein had plausibly alleged defamation as to 5 scenes, including that she withheld evidence, coerced confessions, and directed a racially discriminatory police roundup of young men in Harlem. It's amazing. The average viewer could conclude that these scenes have a basis in fact and do not merely reflect the creator's opinions about controversial historical events, the judge wrote. Castell said Fairstein could also pursue defamation claims against both the series director, Avu Durrani, and against Atisha Locke, a writer and producer, and civil conspiracy claims against the 3 defendants. Like, you really want to go there. Okay. He dismissed some other claims. We'll continue to rigorously defend When They See Us and the incredible team behind the series, and we're confident that we'll prevail against Ms. Fairstein's few remaining claims. I'm confident too. Netflix has stated that in the statement. The Los Gatos, California-based company was responding to requests for comment on behalf of all defendants. Fairstein's lawyer Andrew Miltenberg said he was exceptionally pleased with the decision, saying the 4-part series falsely depicted his client as engaging in coercive and discriminatory conduct in order to build a case against innocent young men of color. Well, if she didn't, then who did, right? Fairstein was running the sex crimes unit of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office in April 1989, when a 28-year-old white female jogger, later identified as Trisha Mali, was beaten and raped in Central Park. 5 male Black and Hispanic teenagers were convicted and spent 5 to 13 years in prison before being exonerated in 2002 when another man confessed to the crime. They reached a $41 million civil settlement in 2014 with New York City, which did not admit wrongdoing. The case has long been a focal point about discussion about crime and racism. After the series premiere, a hashtag canceled Linda Fairstein called for a boycott of Fairstein by then a best-selling crime novelist. Fairstein said she was dropped by her publisher and forced to resign from boards of her alma mater, Vassar College, and 3 nonprofits, including 2 that support victims of sexual violence. Oh my gosh, now you know what it feels like to get things taken away from you. Imagine being a teenager. But next, the defendants had called Fairstein's account revisionist history, exactly, and said that their First Amendment free speech rights allowed them to present their viewpoint. I'm with you guys. But next, what do we have? You can't say master bedroom anymore because some realtors decided it's racist. Using the term master bedroom is racist now, several real estate groups says. In an article headline, "No More Master Bedrooms," Minnesota real estate listings aim for inclusivity, which appeared in the Star Tribune, and a handful of Minnesota real estate agents claim that calling the biggest bedroom and bathroom in the house the master is discriminatory and racist. In the subhead, the author explained that a new real estate terminology is emerging during a time of racial reckoning as many agents drop biased language, and later suggested that several Twin Cities area listing agents and real estate companies have been phasing out the word master because of its association with slavery. Minnesota realtors aren't the only ones who say the term needs to be abolished from the industry to avoid offending someone. Shortly after George Floyd's death in May 2020, the Houston Association of Realtors opted to switch from using the word master bedroom and bathroom to using primary instead. While the Real Estate Standards Organization concluded that master was not a discriminatory violation under the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development standards, the group still encouraged realtors to use primary instead. It just makes sense for the industry to coalesce around a new term to clearly define what it represents and ensure ongoing productive communication between professionals and their communities. In addition to combating racism, right? racist terminology, some real estate groups are pushing to phase out gender-specific language such as a man cave or she shed for the alternative accessory dwelling unit or den to avoid offending transgender or non-binary people. Instead of mother-in-law suite, realtors are supposed to say guest house or in-law suite, and any rooms that hint at the two sexes such as Jack and Jill bathroom should be replaced with dual entry bathroom. Avoiding terms that could offend a buyer or seller just makes good business sense, and the industry experts say that the article states. I just think people, it's a little bit too sensitive. Let's just move forward. But Iowa, a man was sentenced to prison for shooting up a car full of black girls after a Trump rally. Michael McKinney of Des Moines, Iowa, who attended a Trump rally and later shot up a car filled with black girls, injuring one of them, was sentenced up to 10 years in prison. He may end up spending a lot less time behind bars because there is no mandatory minimum sentence, so McKinney can become eligible for parole whenever. Police said that the December 6th incident started when Trump supporters and the girls hurled insults back and forth at each other. Trump supporters surrounded the girls' car, and when the girls backed their vehicle up, they hit a pickup truck. It was then that McKinney, 26, an Army veteran, shot into the girl's car, striking a 15-year-old girl in the leg. The teenage victim read in a statement in court saying that she feared for her life and may never even be able to walk again. McKinney reportedly apologized to the girl and blamed his response on bad judgment. After the incident, however, McKinney reportedly told police that he was fearful and shot to protect himself. Fearful of teenage girls. Interesting. The Trump rally in Iowa was put on by Women for America First, the same group that sponsored the January 6th rally in Washington, D.C., before Trump supporters carried out a deadly insurrection at the Capitol. Before the insurrection, Trump implored his followers to walk down to the Capitol and told them, "You will never take back our country with weakness." This was not an isolated event. In fact, according to a 2020 study, which found at least 54 criminal cases carried out by people who either named Trump or said they were following his directions in carrying out their criminal acts. I think they're just making excuses for what they're doing. You cannot blame somebody else for your actions. That's the problem. But for example, sources say a Latino gas station. Exactly. I knew that was going to happen. And that's what happened. We have to go into a commercial break because something happened with my stories, and we'll be right back on Millennium TV 24. Thank you.
What does a Regis divorce, a Regis bankruptcy, and a Regis personal injury claim have in common? Regis lawyers. Lawyers who care. Convenient, affordable, respectful, and experienced. We work 100% for the 99%. Over 20 years, we've helped thousands throughout the Hudson Valley, New York City, and Long Island. For a free consultation with an experienced attorney, call or text us at 212-766-1100. Ici, hablamos.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
And welcome back to Millennium TV 24. So thank you for staying tuned with us. As you know, in the world of technology, things just happen, right? So what we're going to do is move on to our next story. And then on our next story, we're talking about AARP. AARP it's a report who reveals 40% of Black and Latino adults that have been targeted by scams. So let's see what's going on with this. The American Association of Retired Persons, which is the AARP, released 2 studies showing 40% of Black and Latino adults that have been targeted by online scams. According to the AARP studies titled Consumer Fraud in America, the Black Experience and the Latino Experience, 20% of those have been targeted lost money due to a scam, and about 60% of adults who lost money to a scam have done so more than once. The scams are also different depending on race, and that's according to the studies. Black men and women are typically targeted with lottery and work from home scams, as well as fake job posting, COVID-19 stimulus payments, and romance scams. Latino adults are targeted with grandparent and utility payment scams, as well as government and work-related scams. The research shows that scammers are targeting the Black community, so it is important to talk with friends about family about the specific scams that they may see and how to avoid them. This is from Shani Hosteen, the AARP Vice President of the African American Black Audience Strategy. Being able to spot a scam can only help people avoid losing money, but also avoid the emotional toll of a scam. The AARP is the nation's second largest non-for-profit organization dedicated to empowering American adults 50 and older. The organization sports more than 38 million members. Earlier this year, the organization used its resources to help Black Americans manage their finances during the pandemic. Other findings by the AARP include 58% of Latino adults, 56% of Black adults that have not registered on the National Do Not Call Registry, and less than 20% of Black and Latino adults report using a robocall blocking service on either a cell phone or a landline. The studies also found more than half of Black and Latino adults report using the same or similar password across multiple accounts. The AARP did detail some encouraging signs showing scams are decreasing in success. According to the studies, just 10% of Latinos say they enter prize gift offers with their personal information, and 45% of Black adults said they do not answer a call from a number that they do not recognize. So to make scams easier to identify and avoid, the AARP Fraud Watch Network recommends signing up for the Do Not Call Registry and using a call block service. The network also recommends changing and updating your passwords. Very, very, very important. Next, we're going to do some mental health news on what's going on where college kids are heading back to campus. They anxious, depressed, and completely burnt out. College students have a lot to deal with this year as they head back to campus, and it's taking a toll on their mental health. Rates of anxiety, depression, and burnout have been steadily rising in college kids for years, but those numbers have increased substantially after a year and a half of the pandemic. Students are not coping well, according to a recent survey from Ohio State University's wellness officer. College kids are relying more heavily on unhealthy means of coping. To remedy this, Ohio State has created a 5 to Thrive wellness strategy for students. Meanwhile, another recent study conducted at the University of Colorado, Denver, finds that adding elements of play to higher education can reduce burnout in students. Ohio State's Return to Campus survey echoes mental health data on college students throughout the U.S. The surveys conducted in August 2020 and April 21 looked at both the positive, such as a healthy lifestyle behaviors, and the negative, such as changes in mental health and less than healthy coping strategies. 1,072 Ohio State students responded. The already high rate of anxiety among students in August 2020 of 39% rose to 42.6% in April of 2021. Over the same time frame, depression rose from 24.1 to 28.3, and burnout rose from 40 to 70%. And that's with the perspective. These numbers went from absurdly high to astronomical. Even though healthy coping strategies help combat anxiety, depression, and burnout, it is almost normal for people to turn to unhealthy strategies instead. The problem here is that these comforting strategies also tend to worsen the very mental health problems we use them to address. Exactly, like eating bad and drinking and drugs. Exactly. So next, from August 2020, when students were already facing pandemic stress, to April 21, the students turned to eating more unhealthy food. What I say, 25 to 29%. Use more alcohol to cope, 15.5% to 18%, and use more tobacco or vaping. And again, they're not saying the other things that are actually happening as well. On the other hand, students turned away from using increased physical activity, dropping from 35 to 28%. And they're just staying on their phones, on the social media, and doing things that are not good for your body and your mental especially. However, there is one positive sign. More students began seeing a mental health counselor, 13 to 22%, which is one of the healthiest steps they could take. Good for them. Still, with 70% of students screening positive for burnout in April 21, that means over 2/3 of the students who would have benefited from counseling help did not get it. Ohio State has responded to the survey findings by adding resources and, more importantly, integrating them into curricula and campus life. This is critical because students are far more likely to seek mental health services when they know how to access them, and it is normal to do so. And next, in regular and female health news, what do we have? Early detection is the best prevention. The importance of cervical screenings, right? According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, cervical cancer used to be the leading cause of cancers for deaths in women in the United States. Regular screenings or pap smears have resulted in a significant decline in cases and deaths over the past 40 years. This is because the human papillomavirus, or HPV, which is directly linked to cervical cancer, can be detected during regular screenings. But there's been a recent sharp decline in screenings, particularly among African American women, which the CDC attributes to the COVID-19 pandemic. Divine said being a full-time caregiver for her daughter who has a rare form of epilepsy, along with the restrictions of the pandemic, caused her to miss her regular screenings. It just got pushed back more than it should have ever had, Divine said. Dr. Marianne Wilbur, a physician at UR Medicine Department of OBGYN, said prioritizing screenings is usually a struggle for marginalized women who often have greater familiar and financial responsibilities. Getting the pap smear is not necessarily as big as a priority as getting rent paid, getting the kids to school, and getting the kids fed, Wilbur said. She said cervical cancer is more commonly found and more often caught in a late stage in women of color and those of lower socioeconomic status. Wilbur said that a particular cancer progresses slowly and can be caught before it becomes a clinical problem. But women must first prioritize their wellness screenings. Those missed screenings actually are missed opportunities. If we get these women back in, we can overcome some of the losses. Dr. David Adler, an emergency physician at Strong Memorial Hospital, is seeking to make that happen by leading a clinical trial designed to market screenings to women who aren't getting them. He said women with no health insurance, women of color, immigrants, and those who use the emergency department as their usual source of care are his target audience. We care disproportionately for people who experience barriers to care for a multitude of different reasons. Adler says, so this presents us with an opportunity to try to overcome some of those barriers. All right. And last but not least, what do we have going on? We have Harlem Week. Actually started a few days ago, but it's in full swing with in-person and virtual events celebrating the rich culture of the neighborhood. So for 47 years, Harlem Week has been a celebration of the best of Harlem, which works to promote its rich African American, African Caribbean, Hispanic, and even European history, as well as arts, culture, religion, business, entertainment, and sports. From now through August 15th, Harlem Week will be keeping up with the tradition with a lineup of events for all to enjoy. On August 10th at 8 p.m., you can tune in on a live stream for an evening with H. Carr McCall and Congressman Charles Rangel, which will highlight a conversation between H. Carr McCall, he's the former New York State Senator and the first African American to be elected New York State Comptroller, and Charles B. Rangel, for former U.S. Representative for districts in New York from 1971 to 2017, and the second longest serving incumbent member of the House of Representatives. A special showcase called Harlem on My Mind, one-on-one, will take place on August 10th to the 12th, will shine a spotlight on the spirited intergenerational conversations that span across a series of relevant cultural and historical topics with Harlem-inspired thought leaders whose work and influence significantly contribute to Harlem and the Harlems of the world. On August 11th, Harlem Week will host an Economic Development Day where the community can learn community development, banking and finance, technology and cybersecurity, and inclusion of small businesses, professional service providers, and community-based service organizations. On August 12th, Harlem Week will host a virtual health summit where some of the foremost medical experts in the country to discuss the effects of health issues and disparities in communities of color, plus the ongoing effects of the COVID-19 on the community. Also on August 12th is Broadway Reimagine, a summit that would include panel discussions with actors, actresses, and those behind the scenes discussing what theater would look like as the world reopens and the audience starts seeing productions again. The Harlem Week festivities will continue on Saturday, August 14th with Summer in the City, which will include several events, including the New York Road Runners Harlem 5K Run and Family Health Walk honoring the late Mayor Dinkins. And also the Children's Festival, Alex Trebek Harlem's Children's Spelling Bee, and hit Broadway show performances, a special Dancing in the Street dance workshop by Tina, the musical and Imagination Film Festival. Superhero fans can tune in that day in a virtual panel discussion called Luke Cage, which is Harlem's superhero, in which we will celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Free Comic Book Day, the largest international annual comic book event, with an exploration of Harlem-based superhero Luke Cage. Harlem Week will conclude with Harlem Day on August 15th, which is the pivotal event that officially launched Harlem Week in 1974. Thank you for tuning in on Millennium TV 24. I am Kim Seabrook, and you've been watching A Good Look in News. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time.